It is great to be here in a room full of Democrats. Good morning. Good morning. I want to start with a short story from the campaign trail. Bob has been on the trail for a while, so have I, so have Ethan, and a lot of funny things happened, and I just wanted to share one of those with you. I got on a plane to go to Juneau to do a fundraiser a while back, and the plane was in the cargo configuration. And as Alaskans, you know what I mean. It means that there's a wall up at about the middle of the plane. There's cargo in front and there's passengers behind. And the only good seats are in row 16. Those are the best seats. Everything else is real tight. I had a seat on row 16. I had a seat next to the window. I had an open seat next to me. I'm like in heaven, right? I'm like, this is going to be really nice, a little relaxing ride down to Juneau. And as the flight attendant said, we're bringing aboard the final paperwork, we're closing up the aircraft, I looked over my shoulder, and there's a giant coming down the aisle. And this giant, boom, hits the seat next to me and sits down, and he's just this lumberjack guy. He's like all in my space. And I just can't get out of my space, and we chatted. He's in the Coast Guard. He's going to Ketchikan. He's a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. And, the plane takes off, and I put on my headphones. And this new friend of mine next door to me pulls out of his bag the book he's going to read on the way down there, and it's a copy of Going Rogue. It's a brand new copy. He opens it up, and he starts reading this like it's the Bible. Okay, turns the page, and I'm just like, oh, what am I going to do with this guy? And, the drinks come and we chit-chat, and, I put my headphones back on, and he keeps reading Going Rogue, just like it's just the best thing he's ever seen. And we get to Juneau, and I stand up, he's going on to Ketchikan, like I said, and I'm getting ready to say goodbye, and I just can't take it. I look at him, he's like up to here, he's sitting down, but he's like right here, and I say, I'm in that book. He goes, you are? I said, yes, I said, I am. I pulled out one of these, I said, my name is Hollis French. I'm running for governor, and don't you believe a word she said about me. So this would be a tempting moment to go into a long personal history and tell you all about my qualifications for office. But there's one of these in the room, and my campaign manager will make sure you get one. It's got a little biography of me on the front, some kind words from my colleagues on the back in the legislature. But what I really want to do is talk to you about who we are. Because this is our convention, right? This is our time of convening, of coming together. And I believe the only way we win this race, or any other race, is if we use this time to get our minds right. If we use this time to talk about the qualities that we have as Democrats and the qualities we share. And so I want to talk about a theme, and I'll call that theme Democratic Unity. Now, as Democrats, it's sometimes a little tough to define exactly what we are, so let's start with what we're sure we're not, right? We are damn sure not Republicans, okay? And to drive this point home, I want to use a figure from history, a man named Thomas Hart Benton. Benton was a Democrat. He was from Missouri. He was from a different era. I guess you could call him a muscular Democrat, right? He served 5 terms in the United States Senate. He was the first person ever to do that. Beginning in 1821, he began those 5 terms. But a few years before that, in 1813, he was involved in a frontier brawl with Andrew Jackson, in which Jackson was wounded. Many years later, when Benton was asked if he knew Andrew Jackson, he said, "General Jackson was a very big man, sir. I shot him, sir." So that was Benton, a different kind of Democrat. So how did Benton define the difference between our parties? And he did so in a quote that I come back to over and over. He said this: "There are but 2 parties. There never has been but 2 parties, founded in the radical question, whether people or property shall govern. Democracy implies a government by the people. Aristocracy implies a government of the rich. And in these words are contained the sum of party distinction." I believe the Baptist Church is right down to today. They love money. We We love people. They love corporations. We love labor unions. They love CEOs. We love the working guy. They're all about cutting the capital gains tax, and we're all about raising the minimum wage. They want to build prisons, and we want to build schools. You can see this distinction. And you can see this distinction playing out in nearly every major policy fight in the last decade right here in Alaska. Let's talk about our most valuable resource. And frankly, one of the big reasons we're a state. The Swanson River oil discovery had more than a little to do with the statehood effort. And on politics and on policy, there's a clear distinction in oil politics between the two parties. Democrats led the fight for a fair oil tax. That fight led to success in 2007 and to a $12 billion savings account that's in the bank today, set aside for a rainy day. Republicans have led the fight, so far unsuccessful, to weaken that tax, to give money back to ConocoPhillips, to Exxon, to BP, so they can carry more money out of the state back to their headquarters in Oklahoma, in Houston, and in London.
Right.
Let's talk about healthcare. Let's talk about healthcare. Democrats have led the fight for healthcare reform. One of the bitterest days I experienced in the legislature was in 2003, when the Republicans froze the income eligibility levels for Denali Kid Care, effectively putting us at the bottom of all 50 states when it came to help for low-income children and pregnant women, for them to get access to health care. The vote was one of the clearest examples of the differences between our parties. In 2007, Democrats led the fight to make more people eligible. We won the fight in 2007. We raised that eligibility. We did it again this year in 2010, and Democrats are going to continue to lead for health care reform. The national effort, right? Democrats passed the best bill Congress was capable of, and now the Republicans, including our governor, are suing to stop it. That makes me angry. It really does. It gets me fired up. You know, they passed a bill that's a corporatist, capitalist, business-friendly bill, and now they're coming after it like it's some kind of strange mechanism. Mitt Romney was behind this bill. The Heritage Foundation was behind this bill, and we're forced to defend it. It really does. It gets me fired up.
Go on, go!
Let's talk about the minimum wage, right? Democrats led the fight to raise the minimum wage. This led to success in 2009, and with the increase going into effect this January, more than 8,000 Alaskans will see a raise of $1,000 a year, with more workers benefiting through a trickle up as that wage ripples through the economy. And the Republicans, they're in favor of a tip credit to try to rob back from waiters and waitresses the benefits of the minimum wage hike. Absolutely. It's people versus property. People versus property. Obviously, this distinction gives us a major advantages in some areas, especially as they relate to my theme of democratic unity. We have access to more volunteers than they do. We win by stitching together a coalition of women who believe in choice, of conservationists, of unions and teachers and fishermen and fisherwomen, of Native Alaskans and working Alaskans, and Alaskans who care about healthy salmon fisheries. This is how we win. Let me close. Let me close by saying some provocative words. Okay? As I've indicated, this is all about democratic unity, about who the next governor should be. And any one of the candidates you're going to hear from today is qualified to be governor, and I can prove it in less than 5 seconds. Okay? Stay with me. Here's the proof. Frank Murkowski, Sarah Palin, Sean Parnell. Okay? They can do the job. We can darn sure do it better. I absolutely need. Let me be a little bit more provocative. Folks, if I wake up on the day after the election, and if I wake up on the day after the election in November and Bob Poe is governor, that's a good thing. And if I wake up on the day after the election and Ethan Berkowitz is governor, that's a good thing. Now, I'm willing to say if we would all wake up on the day after the election and I'm governor, that's a better thing. But I have great confidence. I have great confidence in you that the best candidate amongst us will emerge out of the primary. But the point is that if we find ourselves on the day after the election with a Governor Sanders, or Governor Walker, or Governor Parnell, that is not a good thing, and we'll be licking our wounds and waiting another 4 years. How do we avoid this calamity? Democratic unity. Democratic unity. Let's keep our metaphorical guns trained across the river at the other guys, okay? It will be tempting to take little swipes at one another, amongst the three of us as the primary approaches. But let's rise above that. Let's stand together. Let's stand up now. Come on, stand